Morning, everybody. Glad you could join us for the webinar this morning. We'll give folks a couple of seconds here to get logged in, and we will begin shortly. Again, good morning. If you're just joining us, we're giving folks just a second here to log in, and we will begin the webinar shortly. And bear with us, folks. There's a thunderstorm going through downtown Austin right now, and it's going to be a little noisy if we unmute and speak. So it's pretty loud. Okay, it is 10:02, so let's go ahead and get started this morning. And once again, welcome and good morning, everybody. Glad you could join us for the DIR Telecom Contracts Vendor Reporting Orientation given today, Monday, April 25th. Congratulations on the recent award of your telecom contract. And we're glad you could join us this morning for the webinar. Want to cover a couple of housekeeping items. First of all, we want to remind everybody that everybody is muted today. So if you have questions, please open your Q&A box in the control panel and put your questions in there, and we will take some time to answer those as we go along today. Let's do a quick sound check before we get started. If you would raise your hand and let us know that you can hear us pretty clearly this morning. Excellent. See lots of hands going up. Thank you very much for that. So again, open your Q&A box for any questions that you'd like to pose as we go today. And a reminder, we'll have a copy of the presentation available after the webinar ends today, and we can certainly share that with you. Our agenda today, we're going to hear from Brianna Ballinger, we'll hear from Ann Texter, and we'll hear from Tony Tran. We'll cover hub requirements. We'll talk about the DIR portal and the reporting requirements for your contract. We will cover the vendor sales reporting and payments, give you some contact details to get a hold of us here at DIR. And any questions, again, that you have, please open your Q&A box and put those in there. Please don't put questions in the chat because they can get lost in there. So we'll monitor the Q&A box for questions. With that, let's go ahead and get started, and I will turn it over to Brianna Ballinger.
Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about your hub requirements. If you can go to the next slide. There is two very important forms in your contract documents. The first one we are going to talk about today is your HSP. You already have a HSP approved in your contract documents, but please remember that you can update this HSP at any time during your contract. You can update it weekly, monthly, yearly, however frequently or infrequently you need to. But please remember that you cannot legally use a subcontractor that has not been added to your HSP. It must be approved by the DIR team. There is also the progress assessment report. We like to call it the PAR. This is once you have been issued a PO from any of our customers, you will submit a PAR to them on a monthly basis. We also ask that you copy the DIR hub box so that way we can keep a record of the PARs. If you have any questions on how to update the HSP or how to update the PAR form, we are glad to help. If you need a current form, a current PAR form or a current HSP form, we have included the comptroller link here for you. And we have also included the DIR hub email box. Do we have any questions?
I don't see any at this point.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Tony now.
Awesome, thank you. My name is Tony Tran. I'm a business analyst here in the Contract Services Division. I'll be joined by Ann Texter in just a bit, and she'll get into more specifics about your vendor sales report. We'll get into everything reporting and admin fee related today. Next slide. Okay, so the objectives of this orientation, I'm hoping that everybody on this presentation is a part of the vendor sales reporting account and will be responsible in some way for reporting or reporting sales. At the end of this presentation, I'm hoping that everybody that is a vendor sales contact to understand the VSR timeline. There's a specific rhythm month to month regarding your VSRs, how to navigate the VSR portal, how to correctly upload a compliant VSR. That is your goal at the end of every single month. Troubleshooting basic errors, how to self-troubleshoot, and if needed, you can always reach out to our team that we're going to get into. Understanding how to remit payments. This will be an ongoing responsibility, but depending on the sales that you've submitted and what is eligible. And then know how to get assistance. We're going to give you a litany of contacts here at DIR that is here to assist you in every way. We also have a step-by-step guide on the website that is all-encompassing everything about the VSR portal or admin fees, and that will help make it easier for you to create and submit your compliant VSR. Okay. So, understanding the importance of your VSR, it is not only a contractual requirement, which you've probably already been thoroughly told in previous sessions, but your VSRs provide data for spend analytics to our side. This tells us the total value of a contract or a contract type. It tells us the types of goods and services that's purchased by our customers through these kinds of contracts. It tells us who our primary customers are, who's spending the most. Spend analytics telling us where what products and services are being more sought after or more purchased. And it also tells us the cost savings by our customers using your contracts. But most importantly, this information informs state budget decisions and future legislation, and that directly relates back to our vendors and how we structure our contracts and what we award in the future. Okay. So your contractual obligations, again, I believe this has been thoroughly addressed to you in previous sessions, but your VSRs accounts for all sales to DIR customers in a calendar month. So January 1st to January 31st, anytime you have a sale in between those dates with a sales date or an invoice date, that will be what is put onto your vendor sales report. That VSR is used to calculate what your admin fee is, and that's based on the admin fee percentage that's listed on your contract. And I believe for telecom contracts, you might have varying levels of admin fees depending on the type of goods or services. Your reporting is a contractual responsibility, and it's outlined in your CTSA, your Communications Technology Services Agreement. So you might want to take a look at that and get familiar with that language. But as long as you have an active contract or surviving sales, you are required to submit your vendor sales report. If a vendor is unable to correct inaccurate reports or admin fee payments within 3 business days, or you deliver a late report or admin fee payments, then you're required to contact DIR and provide a corrective action plan. We want to make sure that everybody has a chance to communicate with DIR regarding issues, and we won't be able to help you unless you communicate with us. So be sure to reach out to your contract manager or whomever else here at DIR. All the information that you submit in your VSR is subject to audit by either DIR, the State Auditor's Office, or any other designated entities. So everything that you report has to be audit proof. Make sure that everything that you accurate and that it can be traced. Okay. So vendor sales reporting. What are your VSRs and when do they due? So every VSR for each of your contracts is due on a monthly basis. If you have other contracts within for DIR, it works the same way. With your telecom contracts, depending on how your contract is set up, you'll have up to 3 different VSRs that you will be reporting. This is, again, due on a monthly basis. Even if you have 0 sales, if you have 0 sales to report, you're still obligated to go out to the portal and submit a report that we just call a 0 sales report. It's the easiest thing in the world, but it tells us that you're being compliant. VSRs can be submitted beginning on the 1st of every month through the 15th, and the 15th is depending on if we have like a holiday or if it falls on a weekend, but typically it will be on the 15th. And I can't stress enough to not try to always submit on the last day. You kind of want to get in early and try to make sure that you are submitting on time and that you have enough time to self-correct, right? And I mentioned this earlier, but the sales that you include on your VSR is determined by your invoice date, not when the goods or services are delivered, or not when the customer reached out to you. It's based on your invoice date. Okay. So let's take a look at an example timeline. This is a little outdated, but the point still stands. So if we have the month of December 2020, any sales between December 1st and December 31st with an invoice date of any of those dates will be due, and that will be referred to as the December 2020 report. That is due starting January 1st through the 15th. You can submit your report at any time between January 1st and January 15th. At that point, on the DIR side, we'll be reviewing those reports and reviewing it for completeness, eligibility, accuracy, all that good stuff. Once that month is closed in the month of February, you'll get an email that says, this is your final admin fee based on the sales that you reported. Let's just say you had $1 million worth of sales and your admin fee percentage is 1%. Your admin fee is going to be $1,000, right? It'll also include everything else, including late fees or past balances, things like that. So it's really important that when you get this final admin fee that you review the charges there. We also urge that you do not make any kind of payments before that point. It makes life very difficult around here if we get payments that are submitted before the month is closed. So I can't stress enough, and we'll probably say it 100 times during this presentation, to not send payments until you get that final admin fee email. And at this point, your admin fee is due by the 25th of that month. So let's just say you receive your email on February 10th. That admin fee has to be paid for by February 25th. Okay? And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Ann Texter, and she's going to go into the specifics of your report.
Hi, good morning. If you could go to the first slide, please. So most of you should already have received an email with login credentials to the VSR. I believe it comes from an email address, dsrapp@dir.texas.com or vsr.support. So if you have not received that email with your login credentials, check your spam, check your junk folder. If not, please reach out now before you have to start uploading sales reports. Access to the VSR portal is given to the vendors via what's called a sales report contact role. Each vendor can have 5 sales report contacts for each contract you have. when you log in to the VSR portal, let's say you need to upload sales reports for 3 contracts. You need to be listed as a sales report contact under all 3 of those contracts so that you will see that contract numbers in your drop-down menu. If you log in and you're looking for one and you don't see it, that's the first thing you need to check. And you can reach out to your DIR contract manager and check and see if your email address is listed under that contract number that seems to be missing. Any changes that you need to make to those sales report contacts if someone leaves the company, you need to add someone, you just need to reach out to your DIR contract manager via email. Each month, when we do the close and we send out the close email, that email is going to go to the person's email address that logged in to the VSR and uploaded the sales report. And it's going to go to the email address that your company has set up as the vendor contract manager. Just those 2 emails are going to get that close email every month. So make sure that before you start reporting that you've got everybody set up that you need to have set up. I highly recommend having multiple sales report contacts in case somebody's out, then your report won't be late. Next slide, please. So accessing the VSR, you're going to go to the DIR website homepage, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see where it says sign in. That's where you're going to click. We recommend that you use Chrome or Firefox and make sure that your pop-ups are enabled in your browsers. You'll be able to create, you're going to get a temporary password, but you'll be able to create your own password. If you need instructions on that, that can be found in the VSR manual, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Or you just click the forgot password. After you've put in your username and your password, then you're going to click on VSR vendors link. Next slide, please. When you get into the portal, this is kind of a snapshot of what you're going to see. You're on the dashboard. It's going to contain notifications, the reporting month, and the latest status. I want to point out, it will say the reporting month that is due. Now, if we've been pretty much through most of the month, it's past the 15th, we're getting down towards the end of the month. That's not what I meant, sorry. If we get into the next month and you're ready to upload your next sales report, let's say it's February and it says that we're still receiving January. Like Tony said earlier, you can start loading those next month's sales reports on the 1st of the following month. So no matter what the portal says, that just means that myself and my coworker were working on the close process. It takes about 3 weeks for us to get through everything. Regardless of what that says on the dashboard, the first day of the following month, you can upload that next sales report. So let's see, right now is April. So once we roll over to May 1st, vendors are going to be able to start uploading their April sales reports on the 1st. Also in the VSR portal, you're going to have a section where you can download a template. And if you guys are going to need to download the Telecom VSR template, we have 3 different types. There's the XLS version, XLSX version, and then there's the CSV version. The CSV is to be used by vendors that probably are going to be reporting 1,000 rows of data or more. It just makes it a bit easier. We recommend that you download a clean template each time that you go in to do a sales report. That makes that way you have the latest and greatest in case we've done an update on the template. Next, you're going to see upload VSR, and we'll go through the details on that, but that's where you're going to click to go through the steps to upload your file. The history screen is a very important screen for you that contains all the history of everything that's been uploaded for your contracts previously. And while you're in the process of uploading a current one, that lets you know whether or not your file's been accepted, rejected, if it's pending user action. The history screen is really very important. It also gives you an estimated total, and that is key, so that once you've uploaded your report and it's been accepted, I urge you to make sure that that estimated total matches what you thought you uploaded. There is also a lookup section where you can look up customer names, brands and manufacturers, resellers, subcontractors, state abbreviations, etc. Next slide, please.
And we do have a question, maybe for you or Tony. The question is, can an alias email be used as contacts for either the BSR 5 contacts or the monthly closed admin fee to contact
emails? I mean, it can. We recommend that if you have, separate people that you use their separate email addresses, but I mean, it can. You can use an all-encompassing, I guess, that goes to multiple people. Just know that only one person at a time can be logged into the portal with that email address.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the keys to successfully loading a compliant VSR. I can't stress this enough, start as soon as possible. So like I said, right now, we're in the month of April, so we're receiving March reports. So once we hit May 1st, April reports can begin to be loaded on the, May 1st, you can start uploading those April reports. The sooner you get those uploaded, if there are issues that you have, you've got some errors that need to be corrected that you need help with, the longer, the more time you have to get with us to help you with that, the better. The 15th at 5 o'clock is not good. So give yourself plenty of time to make sure that you get everything uploaded and it's accepted. Do not alter the template in any way. Don't change any of the headers. There is a row on the bottom of the template that says total. You can insert additional rows between the top row where you're going to add some sales and that total row. That total row is the key that tells the BSR to stop checking data. So make sure that if you add rows that you insert them and you don't paste over that total row. Reference the BSR manual and the template instructions. We're going to go through that a little bit more. Follow all of the formatting conventions and make sure without a shadow of a doubt that your report is in accepted status. So once you've uploaded your report, you're going to get the option to either go back to your dashboard or go to the history screen. I recommend that you go to the history screen, and it may still be in uploading and checking, but you can refresh that history screen and wait and see what that status is. And you're looking for accepted. Like I stated before, there is an estimated total and an estimated admin fee are going to be displayed on the history screen for verification purposes. It's not your final admin fee or your final total. If you were to report sales to some customers that might not be eligible, those are going to be removed from that report total. So your final fee may be different than what you originally think. We've had cases where vendors have gotten rid of that total row, pasted over the total row. Data hasn't been, it's in text format. Weird things can happen with Excel. And so some of the rows may not have been included. So if you thought you uploaded a report for $15,000 and you look at that total and it says 12,000, then you know something went wrong. So I just urge you to make sure that once it's accepted, that you just make sure that all of those totals are right. If they're not, reach out to us. We can back it out, start over, see what went wrong. Next slide, please. So like I said, the status of being accepted is that's your goal. So when you upload a sales report, you're going to get some emails. The first one's going to say you've submitted your report. I get those emails too. If it's not a highly busy day, I kind of keep an eye on some of them. If I notice a report keeps getting rejected, I may reach out to you. That does not mean you cannot reach out to me. But it's going to be, you're going to get the email that says you submitted your report. You're either going to get one of the next three following. You're either going to get a rejected email, pending user action, or accepted. Your goal is you want it to be accepted. If you upload your report and it's rejected and the deadline passes, it's late. Just because you've uploaded the report does not mean that you're done. It has to be accepted in order for us to count it as being on time. If your file has been rejected, there will be an error file that you can open in the history screen that will give you details as to what is wrong on your report. The pending user action status, there are a few things, and we'll kind of go through this a little bit more, but there are a few things that you can fix in the portal. I believe it's customer names, reseller names, brand names can be fixed in the portal. And then if you're ever to report past sales, there is an action that can be done where you validate that that is what you meant to do in that pending user action. It's called Edit Online. Always email ict.sales@dir.texas.gov. Include your contract number for help. I monitor that email box, and I am always monitoring it every day. So if you need help, just reach out to that ict.sales email, and please provide me with your contract number. And we already discussed the estimated admin fee. Next slide, please. So this is kind of a snapshot of a couple of pages of the VSR user manual. It's a big manual, but if you in the legend there, you can click and it will take you directly to each of those sections. There is, an introduction as to how to get your logins. There's information on filling out your report, a step-by-step guide. There is a glossary at the end of the manual with error definitions. So if you received an error, you could go to the VSR manual and look that error up, and it's going to give you an idea of what you might have done incorrectly that you can fix. Again, this doesn't mean that I'm not always there to assist you. I am, but this is just a good reference for you to have. And also, if you need to train anybody, it's kind of good to let them maybe you look over this. There's a separate section for the co-op contracts, the ITSAT contracts, and Telecom for filling out the sales report template. Next slide, please. So this is a little snapshot of what on the left here of what the first few columns of the reporting template look like. You need to make sure that you follow the instructions and the format. So in the template, the instructions - examples tab has information for each and every column on what we're looking for, how it needs to be filled in, if there is a character limit on that column, what format needs to be used. In that instructions examples tab, it's very, very helpful and very useful. Next slide, please. Another place that you would probably need to bookmark is your DIR contract page on the DIR website. This is going to contain a lot of information that you're going to use in your monthly reports. It's going to have your contract number. It's going to list your vendor name. That vendor name must be put on the report exactly as it appears on this page. So using this one as an example, they would put AT&T Corp. Period. Like I said, it must be exact. If the period was left off, it's going to fail. If they put corporation, it's going to fail. So it needs to be exactly as it appears on your contract page. It's also going to say who your company vendor contract manager is. That's for customers to reach out to y'all. It's going to let you know who your DIR contact is, your contract manager. If you have any brands, they'll be listed out here, resellers, and all of your contract documents are going to be out here as well. So the easiest way to find your contract page would be to go to the DIR website and just put your contract number in the search bar, and it will take you a couple clicks and you'll be right there. And I would just bookmark that for future reference. Next slide, please. All right, so the telecom contracts are set up for multiple admin fees. So you've got a main contract that has been established. For this example is the DIR-TELE-CTSA-002. That's the main contract number. Depending upon what was awarded for the contract, there could be a possibility of 3 additional subsets to that contract. The reason that they are set up separately is because they have different administrative fees. So the carrier class services have a 4% admin fee. The wireless services have a 2% admin fee. And the managed services have a 0.5% admin fee. So you're going to basically be reporting 3 sales reports if you have all 3 of those. If a couple of them have sales, one of them doesn't have sales, you still need to upload a report for each one. So you would upload 2 with sales, 1 0 sales report. Make sure that, again, you are listed as a sales report contact under each one of those subsets of your contract so that you can see them in the drop-down menu when you're in the BSR portal. Next slide, please. So for a 0 sales report, and then actually for every single sales report, the column B is going to be extremely important for the BSR. So like I said, your vendor name has to match exactly how it is in the system. You need to put your contract number, the full contract number, and then the submitted reporting month, and the format for that is year and then the month. So for, in this example, January, it's 2022-01. If you're submitting a 0 sales report, that's all you need to fill out. That's it. Fill out, save it to your desktop, and then go and upload it into the portal. And just a repeat of, do not modify any of the column headers. Always download a clean template from the BSR. And like I said, you can always add additional lines in the report but just make sure that you don't copy over or delete that total row. Next slide, please. So on the Telecom template, there are 22 columns A through V. You may not need to fill out every single column, depends upon your contract, but you've got customer name, bill to, city, state, zip, the sales period for each row. That may come into play if you're reporting past sales. Product item, product service description, publisher, manufacturer, reference number, which refers to the customer's purchase order number or their agreement number, or whatever number associates with the document that they submitted to you to agree to the contract. Invoice number, invoice date, start date. We're going to go into that in a lot of detail. Order quantity, unit price, extended price, ramp certified. We'll be talking about that on a future slide as well. Reseller, subcontractor, number of pages, language, and minutes. When you upload a sales report, only columns A through V are going to be looked at. If you get an error file and you open it up and you've got a bunch of errors, be our guest, use that error file to make your corrections, but it's going to add a column in the error file. And so it's going to add column W, and that's going to list all of the errors per each row. So just make a note. You can only upload a document with columns A through V. So if you use the error file, make sure that you delete all the data, including that header in column W, before you save it and then upload. All right, next slide, please. So I briefly touched earlier on the instructions examples tab. Please utilize those. It does provide really important details on how to fill out each column. Customer name is something I haven't discussed yet, but customer names are exactly like your vendor name. It's got to be input into the report exactly as it appears in our system. You can use the dashboard lookup. If you cannot find a customer name, reach out to me at the ict.sales email box and we can assist you with that. The reason that the customer names need to match is so that we get clean data. So if we have to run a report based on a particular customer, we're pulling it from that singular customer name versus 20 or 30 different variations of that name. But like I said, each one of these columns has information on how to fill out the sales report template. It's really a very useful tab. Next slide, please. So I just talked about the customer proper name and use the lookup tab, but I can't stress enough, if you can't find one, just reach out to me at ict.sales and I'll look it up. We'll make sure that, you know, if they are already in the system or if they need to be added to the system, we can go over that. If it's an out-of-state customer, we can make sure to see that they have an ICC in place, etc. Reference number. That is the purchase order number or agreement number. It's the customer reference number that they submitted some type of a document to you for your services. So that's what that is. Reference number is basically like the purchase order number. The sales period, it needs to match the invoice month. So if you've got 10 rows of data and you've got 9 of those are February invoices, then the sales period for those 9 rows is going to be 2022-02. If you have one row, that 10th row is, let's say you're reporting, for example, a past sale. So in this example, let's say it was a January invoice date. So for that particular row, the sales period is going to be 2022-01. So the sales period needs to match the invoice date, month, and year. Start date, we're going to get into this even more, but the start date is the date on the purchase order or agreement document when the customer agreed to enter into the contract with you for your services. It's not the date of service. It is like, it's the purchase order date. And we'll go through this a little bit more. Product service description, make sure that it's not too generic. Well, yeah, make sure it's too generic. It needs to kind of match the description that's listed on the purchase order and on the invoice for audit purposes. If we do get audited, they need to go back and match the information up. So make sure that product description matches those documents as to the best of your ability. Publisher, manufacturer. Sure if you guys have brands or not, but I think maybe, yeah. It needs to, it just like the customer name, that column, it needs to match exactly as it is listed on your DIR contract page. You can go and look up and see what brands are listed on your contract page and make sure that that column is filled out accordingly. Next slide, please. Okay, so like I said, we were going to get into start date a little bit more in depth. So the lower half of this slide is an example of a purchase order. So start date on the reporting template is referring to the purchase order date or agreement document date. I know some cities or counties use other types of documents, but whatever the official date was that they initially went into this agreement with you is going to be what you use on that start date. Each month for that reference number, PO number, whatever, that start date's going to stay the same every month until the service that they agreed to with you is completed. So if, let's go to the next slide, please. So this is like the lower half of the example of that purchase order, and you'll see under the line description, it says, you know, the term is from January 1st, 2022 to August 31st, 2022. So that start date is going to be that same date every month that you invoice the customer against this purchase order until that service is completed in August 31st. And then, you know, the customer would have to issue a new purchase order to continue any services. Make sure that when you receive your purchase orders or agreement documents from your customers, that they reflect your contract number on that document, and also they put that term of service. That date has to be a date during the time frame that your contract is active. So once your contract has, let's say, expired, if the agreement that they made with you goes past the expiration date of your contract, you would then still be required to report the sales under this agreement until that time frame is up, and they would become what's called survival sales. So having that start date be the original date of the purchase order, which was during the time frame that your contract is active, is what is going to allow that report to be uploaded into the system. Next slide, please. Some of the most common errors that happen when reports are uploaded will be, one is invalid customer name. Again, use the lookup feature and just reach out to ict.sales and we can definitely help you with that. Invalid publisher manufacturer name, again, refer to your contract page to find the valid brand name. And again, it has to match exactly as it is on the website. Same with the reseller name. Another thing though with resellers is that you need to make sure that they are on your current HSP. So if they're not listed, they need to be on the HSP and sent to Hub, and they have to input that into the system. So make sure that you keep your Hub subcontracting plan up to date at all times. An eligible start date. So the start date must be a date during the time frame that the contract is active. Invalid extended price. Make sure that the quantity times the unit price equal the extended price. I know a lot of vendors have different systems that they're pulling data from, and it can cause a bit of havoc with Excel. Go figure. So just make sure that, quantity times unit price equals extended price. There is, like I stated, there's a comprehensive glossary at the bottom of that VSR manual. So if you were to go and do a Control F in the VSR manual and look up invalid extended price, it's going to take you directly to that section, and it's going to give you a description of that error and how to fix it. Next slide, please. So reporting zero sales is the easiest report that you can do. You're just going to need to download a clean template. You're going to need to populate that header. Cells B1 is your vendor name, B2 is your contract number, and then B3 is the reporting month that we're receiving reports for. You're going to, excuse me, you'll log in, and your vendor name should be populated when you log in. And you're going to select your contract type. Maybe you guys have more than one contract, so you're going to select telecom. You may have a cooperative contract, or so you need to go in there and select the proper one for this report. And then you're going to select the contract number that you're going to upload your sales report for. Again, that is where your drop-down menu is going to show up. And if you are not listed as a sales report contact under all the contracts that you need to upload for, they're not all going to appear in that drop-down menu. So always reach out to your contract manager for assistance with that. Then you're going to select to choose and upload your file, and you'll check the box where this is a zero sales report, and you're going to hit submit. Reporting credits is possible. Definitely, we encourage you to definitely reach out to us first so that we can work with you on that and make sure that everything is done appropriately. We like to make sure that those credit sales are matched back up to the original month that you did the sale. I mean, maybe it's 2 or 3 months later. So we want to make sure that when you're doing the credit, it matches that exact first month that you uploaded the original sale. But in order to do a credit, you would make the quantity and the extended price on your spreadsheet a negative number, and the unit price stays a positive number. But again, just keep in mind when you're reporting credits, reach out to DIR, to us, to assist you so that we can walk through everything before you upload that report. You're going to, like I said, the sales period for a credit needs to be the same as the original sale period that it was uploaded for. There is a section in the VSR manual on reporting past sales and how to validate them. Next slide, please. So if you forgot to report a sale, it happens. We're fine with that. You're just going to report that sale on whatever the current month's report is. So if we're currently receiving, I guess in this scenario, we'll say 2020-11, that's the current month is November 2020, but you need to report a few sales from October. For those rows, your invoice dates are going to be October dates, and your sales period on those rows needs to reflect that past sales month. So always remember that the sales period matches the invoice month. Once you've uploaded your report, and if everything on that report is correct, but you've got past sales on there, it's going to go to pending user action. You're going to go to your history screen. You're going to scroll all the way to the right, and you're going to be able to click on Edit Online. When you get to the Edit Online page, you'll see that there are 3 categories. There's customer name. So if you had some incorrect customer names, this is where you could correct those in the system. Previous sales period. It says 1 here in the parentheses. So that means that you've got a row that needs to be validated. And then other is that refers to like brand names, reseller names, etc. So for the purpose of validating past sales, you would click that circle next to previous sales period and you would hit go. The key to the Edit Online tool is the change/edit error column. So you would click on that word multiple right below where it says change edit error, and you're going to get a pop-up box, and it's going to say, hey, you've uploaded sales from this past month or months. Is that what you meant to do? And you're going to click yes, and then you're going to click revalidate. And if that's the last thing that you have to validate, then your report should go to accepted status. There's instructions on how to do this in the manual. And then again, I know I sound like a broken record, but just reach out to us if you need any help. That's what we're here for. Next slide, please. And I think Tony was going to talk a little bit about the requirement for TEX-AN.
Right. Thank you, Ann. So let's talk TEX-RAMP. If you aren't familiar, I hope most of you are. TEX-RAMP has to do with our the reporting requirements, or that state agencies, including institutions of higher education, must have their purchases related to cloud computing services or products. They need to be RAMP certified. We have an entire page on our DIR website. You can see the link down there, dir.texas.gov/RAMP. That will give you all the information you would need to know about RAMP certifications. The important thing is that there is an Excel spreadsheet on that page that's pretty high up. It has an ongoing list of all products and services that are currently RAMP certified. It gives you information as a vendor how to get certifications for RAMP, especially if you're attempting to sell to state agencies. Those state agencies and the vendors need to be abundantly clear that those certifications have to be in place. In order for our side to help track that information on the VSR template, we do have under column Q, it is specified for the Telecom, for the RAMP certification indicator. It's pretty simple. You either put in the word yes if that product or service that you have listed on your spreadsheet is RAMP certified, or you can leave it blank if it isn't. Okay. That's, if you have any questions, let me know. But it's been going pretty smoothly so far. This has been in place, I think, since earlier this year, maybe a little bit earlier than that. Okay, next slide. Okay, we are on the back half of it. We are going to talk about our admin fees and how you'll be notified and how you will pay those. Again, so your final admin fees is determined based on the total dollar amount that is listed on your VSR after it's been reviewed by DIR, specifically and Texter and others here, they will review your reports for eligibility. You're not allowed to put sales that's tied to a customer that's ineligible to purchase off of the contract, things of that nature. And again, as it was stated earlier, it's dependent on the VSR that you submit and what is the admin fee percentage that's tied to that particular contract that you have. The vendors will receive a month close email. So the person that submitted the report and the vendor contract manager that's listed on your contract, you'll receive a month close email between the 1st and the 10th of the month following the submission of the VSR. So back in our example, if you were submitting December sales in the month of January, by February 1st through the 10th, you should get an email stating your final admin fees, including any late fees and things like that, will be XYZ. That is due on the 25th of that month. So be sure to submit those payments and submit those payments on time. Next slide. So this is just an example of what that email will look like. It will be coming from VSR app at dir.texas.gov. It will state that the DIR has closed that reporting period for the month and the year and month in question. It'll be outlined exactly like it is right there. It'll tell you what your final admin fee is, what your late fee is, and what's the owed to DIR. And I can't stress enough, please wait for this email before you authorize any payments. It causes a lot of headache on our side, and our staff will be reaching out to you to help clear all that information up. So you're only going to be saving yourself more time if you just waited for this email. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. So remitting payments. Your payments can be sent via two ways, either ACH payment or bank-to-bank transfers, or via check. We highly recommend ACH payments just because of its speed, its accuracy, and the amount of information that you can attach to your payment for our side to help attribute the payments to your contract or contracts. Anytime you're making a payment, either if it's by ACH payment or by check, we ask that you email a remittance form to our admin fee inbox, so that adminfee@dir.texas.gov. It has information. It'll ask for information, including what the reporting month is, what contract number or numbers you're referring to, and your vendor name. On these payments, you are allowed to include multiple payments across multiple contracts, just to make it easier on your side. We just ask that you help us with what that breakdown should be. Admin fees are due on the 25th of the month. We've talked about that already, and we've talked about how you have to wait for this email. Okay, next slide. So setting up your ACH payment, if you haven't already done so and you would like to set up ACH payment, if you go to that link there on our website, it has an ACH authorization form that you can fill out. Once you fill that out, you can email it back to adminfee@dir.texas.gov, and our side will process it, and we will have an account number to you within 10 business days. Once that is set up, month to month, you can submit your payment through your payment portal, however you have it set up on your side. And again, remember to email that remittance form to the inbox to help us make sure that the payment that we're receiving from you is attributed correctly. And you can always reach out to adminfee@dir.texas.gov with any issues regarding your ACH payments. Next slide. If you have to pay by check, we ask that the checks include the contract number or numbers, either on the memo line or especially on your remittance form, but hopefully somewhere on your check or on a note accompanying the check. If your combining multiple admin fees, be sure to let us know what that breakdown is. The table below has the addresses for how you can send your payments. If you're sending a regular payment, you can send it to PO Box 12728 with the attention of accounts payable here in Austin, Texas. If you need to send an expedited payment, that's going to be here at our street address at 300 West 15th Street, Suite 1300. But again, ACH payment is much more preferred because checks take a while to go through the mail. It takes a while for our staff to open it and to understand how to attribute it. So please try to look into ACH payments. Next slide. This is a copy, or this is a snapshot of that remittance form. You will be adding in information that is pretty basic, but it helps our side tremendously. It'll ask for things like your vendor name, the contact name for the person that's filling out this form, and then you can add in how you want your payments to be broken down for multiple contracts if you have multiple contracts with DIR, especially if your TEX-AN contract has your B2, B3, B4 designation. Okay. So keep this slide for your references. It has all the emails that you would ever need to assist you at every step of this process. So any issues with your vendor sales report goes to ict.sales@dir.texas.gov. That one is monitored by Ann herself. Any issues with your admin fee or ACH payments, again, send that to adminfee@dir.texas.gov. Questions about your hub information or your PAR submissions, you can send that to dir.hub@dir.texas.gov. If you have questions on general DIR outreach or how to use our logos, send an email to outreach@dir.texas.gov. Assistance with getting into the portal, reset passwords, account information, all that good stuff. You can send an email to vsr.support@dir.texas.gov. And to sign up for our newsletter, send an email to cpo@dir.texas.gov. Next slide. And at this point, we can open it up to Q&A. I don't know if there's been any questions that's submitted in our Q&A panel. I'm not seeing any right now. But for any of our attendees, go ahead and submit a question if you have it.
Hey, Tony, this is Tequila. I like to just touch on a few things. Good morning, everyone on the call. Tequila Jackson, I believe I've met with all of you pretty much in the kickoff meetings. Just here, just kind of listening in, but want to reiterate on the importance of submitting an accurate sales report. Over the last few weeks, we've been monitoring sales reports. As far as the templates, we've been working with ICT Sales and Texter. Thank you so much for all your help. And we've had some things that have come up. So again, just want to stress the importance of submitting an accurate sales report and to bring your attention to column M. Please make sure column M, which is your start date, matches the purchase order date or the agreement date. This date, column M, it should not be the contract start date, meaning that it should not be the day your contract was executed. That date is very important, and it should be either the purchase order date or the agreement date. Are there any questions about that? And I also like to just kind of speak to our incumbent vendors who are on the line. I know we've had some conversations about migrating customers over from the old contracts to the new contracts. I know we had some communications, but if you are continuing to report sales on the old contract and you were using your contract start date, that's going to be acceptable. However, any sales that are new sales on the new contracts, that date must be the purchase order date, or again, the agreement date that you're in with the customer. November 5th, if that's your start date, will not be accepted. And I also like to say this one other thing. If customers have already been migrated over to the new contract, we need you to continue to report those sales under the old contract if you have not received a new PO for that customer. Again, continue to report those sales on the old contract until you receive an updated PO from the customer. And if there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself, Tequila Jackson, or Jeff Booth. If there's any questions around what I'm talking about now. And also feel free to reach out to Ann, who was extremely helpful, and she would either help you or get you over to us. Any questions for me?
I think you might have covered this one, Tequila. There is a question. What's the difference from the PO date and the end agreement date?
Some customers, like maybe cities or counties or local governments, maybe they don't do a purchase order. So it's just, it's whatever document that they have officially submitted to your company as their purchase order or agreement. So it was just, another way of stating it.
Okay, thank you. And we do have a couple of questions or comments about getting a copy of the presentation. Yes, we will make the slides available, and we will get a copy of the recording to you as well.
And I've received the email already with some additions to add for vendor sales report contacts. If you want to add more than one person for backup reasons, please send that information over to Jeff Booth or myself, and we will get that person added. Any other questions, Tom?
Other questions anybody would like to enter at this point? I don't see any more in the Q&A box at this time.
And I guess I'll add one more thing. Sorry. And for our new vendors, for all vendors, please make sure and know that the VSR portal is only for direct sales. You should not be submitting DIR bill services or uploading those sales to the VSR. These are only pertain to VSR direct sales. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, and again, if there are, I do not see any other questions answered or submitted into the Q&A box. So if there are none, we thank you for your time today, and please let us know. Tony had provided the contact information if you do have questions for certain things, and we will again get a copy of these slides to you. And we thank you for your attendance today. We wish everybody a good day and a great week. Thank you, everybody.